Welcome to Talking Out Cloud, the SourceFuse podcast where we explore cloud transformation stories reshaping how industries think, build, and scale. I am Jatin Tulsiani, and today we're focusing on something fundamental to every organization. It's people. We're diving into AI powered people analytics and how the right mix of vision, technology, and collaboration transforms HR teams from reactive to strategic, from fragmented data to enterprise wide intelligence. According to Gartner, only 35% of HR leaders are confident that their current HR technology supports business objectives, and 15% actively engage in strategic workforce planning. Yet, Gartner also reports that the organizations focusing on HR tech adoption through a value driven iterative approach can increase HR's business impact by up to 54%. That makes this the perfect moment to ask, how can AI powered analytics close the gap and help HR become a strategic driver? And joining me today are Challapalli, Chief Product Officer at HireRoad, Andrew Peralta, Director of Product at HireRoad. HireRoad is an HR tech company with a portfolio of multiple products, including PeopleInsight, an award-winning people analytics platform that empowers HR teams to make smarter, data-driven decisions and drive organizational success. And also joining us from SourceFuse is Samantha Tucker, Project Manager, and Vaidant Singh, Business Head, Americas and CMO. SourceFuse is an AWS Premier Partner that specializes in building scalable, AI-driven solutions for ISVs. Welcome, everyone. Great to have a full house today. Let's dive in. Hari, let's talk about the big picture. When you look at the state of HR tech today, what are the macro challenges that made you feel it was time to invest in AI-powered people analytics?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. One of the biggest challenges that HR teams face today is that their data is fragmented across multiple systems. You have ATSs, HRIS, employee engagement platforms, and that really makes it impossible to get a unified view of the employee lifecycle. We at PeopleInsight by HireRoad, we've already been solving that problem with our people analytics platform by bringing all of this data together and making it accessible in one place for analytics. But even with the centralized dashboards and analytics, teams are still drowning in data and starving for insights. Most HR teams don't have dedicated analyst resource or data scientists, and they are under pressure to make strategic decisions quickly without the time or the expertise to dig through all of this data. And that's where really AI comes in. By using AI, we are supercharging this analysis so that we can analyze the data and automatically surface patterns, trends, identify risk, and highlight opportunities. So instead of just showing users what's happening through dashboards, we help them understand why it's happening and what to do next. So really, AI is helping us take us from people analytics being reactive to proactive. And that's really what drove us to invest in AI powered analytics because we want to give HR teams accessible, actionable insights, not just dashboards, but intelligence that they can trust.
How does solving this specific challenge fit into the broader mission at High Road? What's the bigger why behind this initiative?
At High Road, our mission is to help organizations hire, retain, and grow great teams. And that starts with having better visibility into your people data. And solving this analytics challenge is core to that mission. Without insights, HR teams are flying blind. They don't know what's working in their talent acquisition strategies or employee retention strategies and where to intervene. By embedding AI powered insights, we are enabling HR and business leaders to make faster, more confident decisions based on hard evidence, not gut feel, ultimately driving to better outcomes across hiring, retention, and employee engagement. Now, when it comes to our mission, we are especially focused on making people analytics accessible to organizations of all size. Whether organizations have a dedicated analytics team or a data scientist team, it doesn't matter. they probably don't have the budget for a large enterprise people analytics platform. That's why we've designed PeopleInsight to be powerful, but also be intuitive and cost effective. This way, every organization, no matter your size, no matter your budget, can benefit from the incredible power of people analytics and not just the Fortune 500.
Hari, we know you evaluated multiple partners for this project. What led you to choose SourceFuse? What were you specifically looking for in a technology partner?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when we were looking at, scoping this project and evaluating multiple partners, there were a couple of key considerations for us. We set out to on a project that was ambitious in scope and scale with aggressive timelines. So for us, it was really key to understand, does this partner understand what we're trying to do? Do they get our vision? But not only that, are they able to articulate back to us how they're going to help us achieve that vision in that ambitious, aggressive timeline, right? And when we looked at multiple proposals from multiple partners, it was very clear to me and Andrew and our team that the proposal that we got back from SourceFuse hit the nail on the head, right? So that's the beginning of a great relationship that we've had with SourceFuse is we immediately knew that they get it. You understand what we're trying to do and the timelines under which we're trying to get it done. And frankly, I wish there was some secret magic formula that we used to evaluate partners, but very frankly put, that was it, right? Do they understand it? Do they get it? And can we trust them to deliver on this?
That brings me to you, Andrew. Let's talk about the build itself. What was it like collaborating with SourceFuse and AWS during the project? Any moments that really stood out for you?
Overall, working with SourceFuse on this project was really great. This was our first time that we've actually ever brought in external consultants, and we did that to accelerate our development. From day one, they seamlessly integrated themselves into the team, and they dove into all aspects of our application. HR data wasn't something that the SourceFuse team had a lot of experience with, but the entire team was able to get up to speed very quickly. They were very transparent and open at all stages, and they brought a real level of expertise to the project for all of the AI work. The thing that stood out to me through the whole project, I think like a specific event, was the very first time we started to see auto-generated insights. That was one of the big parts of this project was we needed to be finding valuable insights in the data. And the first Scrum review or sprint review where we saw this for real was really eye-opening for all of us because we'd worked so hard for a few sprints, and then we had outcomes here. We had real things to see, and that one was one of the best moments of the project, probably.
And what about the challenges? I mean, the biggest unknowns or challenges you had to work through along the way?
Yep. We had a large geographically distributed team and a very aggressive timeline. And so, yeah, there are going to be challenges. So to account for those challenges, though, we had a very clear vision that we all aligned on very quickly. From the start of the project, we immediately got aligned. Any scoping decisions we had to make, we tried to be as very clear and decisive as possible for everyone involved. Consistent communication, that was one thing. Sam was on top of keeping us aligned, and if any questions came up, made sure that it was answered. Nothing got missed. If there was a question that came up one day during review, you'd hear about it the next day if you hadn't answered it, and it was great because it kept everyone aligned and moving forward. But like any issues, or sorry, any project, issues came up, right? Like, there's bugs, there's things that, maybe take a couple days to figure out a solution for. But I think the important thing, whenever there was any issues that came up, we sat down, figured it out, and came to a solution that all of us were happy with.
And while we heard so much about SourceFuse, we've kept them quiet or mute for a while. So, Samantha, let me take this up with you first. What do you think made this project and partnership successful? Anything specific about the way HireRoad people approached the collaboration?
Sure, thanks, Jatin. Yeah, HireRoad, the company culture there is a unique force. They it's you can just see it in everyday interactions. It's mutual respect, it's partnership. There's a lot of friendships that I see among the team members, and it was just really cool to be part of that and to be brought into that. They genuinely treated us like we were part of their team, like we were employees of HireRoad. There wasn't, oh, the contractors, oh, the consultants, oh, those people over there. There was none of that. It was just like Andrew said, we were just all one team. When we sat down at the table, everybody's opinions were considered. It was always respectful, even when there was intense moments and difficult decisions that had to be made, or um, just things that popped up, or timelines had to be tweaked a little bit, or something that we tested didn't work exactly the way we thought, and we had to circle back and change things. Nobody ever got mad. Nobody ever raised voices. There was no major tensions. It was always just such a respectful and encouraging environment to be in. And I really think that that was what made the project so successful, was just how open and honest the communication was, and how much transparency there was between all the people involved in the project.
That sounds like a great partnership. Vedant, I'd like to hear from you as well.
I think everybody said things which I can just echo right now, right? We started with what Hari said, where he described that we understood the vision, but also there's a precursor to that. They made us explain the vision so well that we were able to, really understand, comprehend, and then re-articulate that back to the HireRoad team. I think that was fantastic right at the beginning. We definitely had some situations or issues, like Andrew said, every project has that. But everybody worked at and looked at that as, a team player having their own accountabilities to come with. And everybody just worked on that one vision. Everybody knew what we were going after. And then Sam said the culture, the way I kind of look at it, it was such a fun journey, right? And kudos to the HireRoad team for that. We never felt as if we are a vendor. It genuinely felt as if this is one team, all working towards that one vision. And I guess that made it so much more easier and successful, of course, at the end of the day. So I guess, yeah, the one thing is team player and, just setting that high standard vision.
This definitely seems like a very successful partnership. And when I talk about outcomes and success stories, I want to go back to Andrew and talk about, now that the Gen AI capabilities are live, how has that impacted the product or user experience?
So the experience for our users has really expanded. Users are now able to find answers to their questions a lot easier and quicker than before. And also, users of all levels have an easier time using the product. Our chat interface, it makes it possible for anyone to go in and find answers to the questions they have with their HR data. Additionally, actual insights are now proactively pushed to all the users. And by having these insights pushed to them, the new capabilities are making the jobs easier for our users. They can have information that they didn't even know was there, and it's pushed to them proactively.
I definitely wanted to ask you that next. What kind of feedback are you getting from the customers, and any standard reactions to how AI is working for them?
The responses thus far have been really great. A lot of users have told us that what used to be a much longer and arduous process, and they would have to manually go through reports and find insights in the data. They log in and it's there, right? It's simplifying the steps that is required for them to do their job.
Let's talk about what's ahead for all of us. Hari, looking ahead, what's next on the AI roadmap at HireRoad? Where do you see this evolving in the next 12 to 18 months? Short-term outlook or a long-term outlook that you'd have?
Got it. I wish I could say we are done with our AI roadmap, but that's not the case. This is a constant living, breathing thing, and as the famous line from I guess the Robert Frost poem, right? There's miles to go before I sleep. So we are at the beginning of an exciting journey ahead of us, right? So over the next couple of months, where we see our AI capabilities going is kind of really deepening and broadening the intelligence within the platform, right? So the first and foremost is, the team's done an amazing job of, building, these features over the last couple of months. So first and foremost, the priority is we're leaning into rapid iteration, right? So we're working very closely with our customers to implement them, refine them, and evolve our capabilities based on real customer feedback. And our goal is to stay agile and responsive so that the solution continually improves and delivers value for our customers. So that's the first priority. Second, we want to move beyond just identifying problems to actually delivering prescriptive insights or recommendations, right? So currently we are saying, what are the trends in turnover? Like, why is turnover high and what might turnover look like, say, in the next few months? But the next logical step in that journey is, so what do you do about this, right? What are suggested actions and recommendations to actually improve retention? So we want to take that step and leverage AI ML to help guide decisions and actions. And also, we are also expanding our lens to look at kind of positive indicators in the data, right? So far, we've been focused on leveraging AI to look at red flags or issues within the data, right? Turnover hotspots, recruiting bottlenecks, and so on. But what if we did the inverse, right? Which is look at leveraging AI ML to understand what are the bright spots within the organization, what's working well, what managers have low turnover, which recruiters are highly efficient when it comes to filling positions, and shine a spotlight on the bright things or the positive things that are happening within a company, because perhaps there is some learnings to be leveraged from those bright spots in order to actually solve the issues that we are already surfacing, right? So that is really exciting for us. Ultimately, this whole area is kind of evolving so rapidly, and to my earlier point, we want to listen to our customer feedback and refine iteratively. But if you were to ask me like one single thing of what we are trying to do going forward, is really we want AI to be a strategic partner, right, to our users. It's not just helping users react to the problems, but it's really to understand how can we use AI to help them be more strategic and then help them move their organizations and their business forward.
That's great, Hari. Thank you. Vedant, from SourceFuse's perspective, what is in the roadmap to support ISV clients like HireRoad, especially with platforms like ArtMod.ai? How are you planning to support more AI-powered journeys?
Great question, Jatin. I guess there are two types of ISVs today, right? Or at least the way I look at it. One are companies like HireRoad. They're already advanced. They have a vision. They've gone through the digital transformation. It's about implementing the vision now, right? For those kind of customers, we are the right partner who can come in and accelerate their vision, add to the velocity of building that vision, building that product, building that platform. And then there's the second kind, right? These ISVs are sitting with legacy products, workloads, technology. That's where we come in with a very focused modernization lens on, right? We're trying to find out ways how we can scale that product, how we can get them more optimized from maybe a cost angle, maybe a licensing angle. And a precursor to that, Jatin, is ArtMod.ai, right? ArtMod.ai is a GenAI solution that we have developed. And essentially, it's a lightweight tool that can sit on your GitHub repo and get you all the documentation, right? It could be your technical architectures. It could be your use cases, your test cases. It could just be understanding your product better, right? And we can document all of that maybe in a few hours rather than the 4 to 6 weeks that we used to take earlier with our SA and the BA team. And essentially, that becomes the lay of the land of what would be the future or what could be the future. And it makes it easier for us to, one, recommend the approach and the roadmap forward, and two, for the customer to actually now just see the vision rather than theoretically see it on a piece of paper, and or just actually not be confused anymore. Can they modernize, right? Can they re-architect? Can they refactor? So that's what Arc Mod really does. So very excited about what GenAI can do. In both cases, by the way, the two kind of ISV scenarios that I mentioned, in both cases, I think GenAI is and will continue to play a very big role. Hari said it beautifully. It's kind of like a strategic partner into the overall strategy of how customers, or in general, just industry is taking or looking at GenAI. So very excited. And there's a lot which SourceFuse is doing. So more news coming from SourceFuse anytime.
It definitely seems like a very exciting path ahead for all of us and everyone who's going to be on this journey. And before we wrap up, I would like to talk about, you guys giving on some sort of wisdom to others who are probably going to walk this path. And, for anyone starting their AI journey with AWS, what would you say are the most important things to get right early on? Maybe we can hear, from all of you one by one. Hari, would you like to take this on first?
Sure. I can go first. I think the first fundamental thing is to start with the customer problem that you want to solve or is worth solving, right? Because there's with all of the buzz that's happening with AI and ML and more specifically like LLMs and Gen AI, it's very easy to kind of chase after what's the new shiny object, but you have to stop and think to what end, right? What outcomes am I driving to for my customers and in turn for my own business, right? I think you have to start there and then have a very clear vision of what success looks like if you are able to achieve what you want. What does it mean for your customers? What does it mean for your users? What does it mean for your company, right? So I think you have to start there, and then it's around it's basics, right? It's how do we take steps towards that vision? How do we establish clarity of goals that are realistic, but at the same time, if that goal doesn't scare you or your team, then maybe it's not ambitious enough, right? So it's a fine art to come up with goals that are realistic, but at the same time they are stretch goals. And ultimately, I think it all comes down to having that clarity of vision of like what problem we're trying to solve and why it is important to solve that problem.
I think for me, the first word that came to mind was trust. It's a big deal to bring in an external company to help with a project like this. And I think for us, what really worked is from the very beginning, we trusted them that they could, have that expertise we needed and help us deliver on what we were building. And that worked really well.
To kind of piggyback on what Andrew said, it's interesting as a project manager when the teams are put together, because SourceFuse does a good job of assessing everybody's skill set and hearing the customer and saying, these are the people that are going to provide the skills that are needed and the technical expertise that's needed to help the customers achieve the goals. And as a project manager, I don't necessarily know all the people until we all sit down at the table for the first time. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then you see throughout the project, oh, I understand this is why this specific person was put on this project, because they are so good at whatever the skill is. And I'd like to give a shout out to Manasi and Durgesh. They helped us on the project and their expertise. Manasi was our product manager, and she did a phenomenal job with understanding the requirements, and Durgesh is fantastic at the AI side. And just seeing how the teams come together and how the HireRoad's technical experts, Michael and Marlon, were able to come in and sit side by side with our technical team and the magic they created. It's just really cool to see how the projects come together. And I personally use a little bit of, I don't know if Hari knew, I was using some like chat GPT prompts and using some other things to try to like, just from a project management side, as a project manager, I myself was using available AI resources just to try to figure out some of the, like the planning and the different ways to like better structure things in Jira and in Confluence and things like that. So it wasn't necessarily AI specific to HireRoad, but as a project manager, I was using AI to help me be a better project manager.
Now we know all the reason why Samantha was so good, right? It's all ChatGPT. Well, for me, Jatin, I think there are a few steps, right? First one, very aligned with what Hari said. Um, the organization has to figure out the vision, right? If they know the vision, if they know the path that they're working towards, um, it helps everybody, every team member, to walk through that path. Second, choose the right CSP, right? So if you're working towards getting a solution or just really knowing how it's going to perform with cloud, find the right cloud service provider, right? So in this case, AWS. Of course, we know the number one CSP across the globe. By the way, also helped a lot in the journey that we had with HireRoad, right? AWS comes along with their own expertise, their own services, which again are number one in terms of, just look at stuff like Bedrock or Cloud, right? These are beautiful services that help. They also come around with certain partner funding options. So also the segue to selecting the right partner. That would be step number 3. Find the partner who can articulate your vision back to you. Again, literally taking the full circle of what Hari said in the first question round. Also make sure that I'm listening. But that's the third point, right? Like you really need to find that partner who can articulate that vision back to you. And then I think after that, it's just having fun, right? That's very, very important. If you do that together as a team, the end product will definitely be, if not the exact, then probably closer to what your vision is. So I guess it's a four-step strategy. Might not be a magic bullet, but something closer to that, I guess. So once again, thank you for being an amazing partner. And genuinely, that's what we all talked about. But I think the reason that this project worked really very is because you guys made it very, very easy to work with you and not for you. That was a major difference. So thank you so much.
Thank you all for sharing your wisdom today. And that's a wrap on this episode of Talking Out Cloud. A big thank you to Hari, Andrew, Samantha, and Vaidant for joining us today and for sharing such practical, future-ready insights. If you're an ISV looking to build AI-powered solutions that scale, there's plenty of takeaway from this conversation. And we'll be back soon with more stories from the cloud frontier. Until then, thanks for listening.